They say power is loud, but I've learned the opposite is true. True power whispers. It moves through rooms without being noticed, through people without being seen, and it watches, always watches, from the corners where no one dares to look. I learned this not from books or teachers or men in suits who pretend to know the game. I learned it by surviving. When I was young, they told me to be kind. Kindness, they said, would be my sword in this cruel world. But the first time I gave kindness, it was mistaken for weakness. The second time, it was exploited. By the third time, I realized that kindness is a currency, and like any currency, it devalues when spent too freely. So I stopped being kind, at least in the way they wanted me to be. I smiled instead. I listened. I made people feel safe around me. That was my kindness. Let them talk. Let them trust. And while they spoke, I learned. Every word they said, every story they told was another thread in the tapestry I was weaving, a map of their weaknesses, their fears, their blind spots. And when the time came, I used it. Power isn't about being the strongest. It's about knowing when to strike and when not to. It's about holding your hand when you want to raise it, and raising it only when they least expect it. That is control. That is fear. Not the kind that makes them run, but the kind that makes them stay, frozen, loyal, dependent. I didn't climb the ladder like others did. I didn't beg, flatter, or plead. I built my own ladder in silence, one secret at a time, one favor at a time, one betrayal at a time. You don't ask for a seat at the table. You convince the others to leave, one by one, quietly, painlessly, or not. They called me ruthless. They were right, but they were also wrong. Ruthlessness isn't cruelty, it's clarity. It's the refusal to pretend that people aren't selfish, greedy, and desperate for meaning. I don't hate them for it, I just use it. When Marcus tried to undermine me, I didn't retaliate, not immediately. I praised him, elevated him, gave him space to shine, and when he shone too brightly, I showed the others his shadow. The lies he told, the favors he owed, the things he said behind their backs. I let them turn on him. I let them think it was their idea. And when he fell, I helped him land hard. You see, the game isn't about victory. It's about narrative. The story they tell about you matters more than the truth. Be seen as the wise one, the patient one, the stable hand in a storm. Let them project their ideals onto you. Let them trust the mask, and never, ever remove it. In time, they forget the mask is a mask. In time, they crown you. By then, it doesn't matter who you were, only who they think you are. I don't rule with fear. I rule with belief, their belief. And belief, my friend, is the most dangerous weapon of all. They always ask, don't you feel guilty? Guilt. What a delicate word. What a soft thing to ask a man who's had to harden every part of himself just to survive the climb. You think I made it this far by listening to guilt? No. I silenced guilt the way a surgeon silences a wound, with precision, not hesitation. Guilt is for men who can afford it, for those who haven't yet seen what it takes to rise above the noise. And I don't live in noise. I create it. I bend it to my advantage. I feed it to the masses, while I move quietly behind the curtain, pulling strings they'll never see. The truth is, I once had guilt, a long time ago, before the fire, before everything was taken, before I learned that mercy is not a virtue, but a liability. I remember that day clearly. I remember the look in my mother's eyes when they came for us, not with guns or chains, but with papers, cold signatures, legal cruelty. They took our home, our name, our dignity, and no one stopped them. That was the first lesson. Justice is not real. Only influence is. So I built myself from the ashes, brick by brick, lie by lie, smile by calculated smile. I became the kind of man they couldn't touch, not because I was untouchable, but because I made them believe they needed me more than they hated me. That's the trick. Don't fight the system. Become indispensable to it. There are those who think strength comes from honesty, from transparency. Fools. Transparency is a myth sold by the powerful to make the weak easier to watch. The truly powerful are never transparent. They are mirrors. They reflect back what others want to see, while hiding everything that matters behind the glass. Even now, as I sit in this high-rise office with its polished floors and quiet walls, I know it could all fall tomorrow. One whisper, one scandal, one betrayal. Which is why I never stop listening, never stop calculating. Even when I laugh, I'm watching. Even when I praise, I'm measuring. Loyalty is fragile. It doesn't belong to you. It belongs to what you represent in the moment. And if that moment changes, so does their allegiance. So you must stay ahead of the moment. You must become the moment. Do I sleep well? No. I sleep strategically. I wake before dawn not to see the sun rise, but to be the first to move. I don't love, I invest. I don't trust, I test. I don't react, I preempt. That's how I've survived. That's how I've won. And yet, there are nights, rare ones, when silence gets too loud, when the weight of every decision, every manipulation, every soul I broke to build this empire presses against my chest like a second skin. I sit in the dark then. I light no candles. I drink no wine. I just stare at the nothing, at the everything. And I wonder, would they still follow me if they knew what it cost? But those nights pass. They always do. Because the world doesn't reward doubt. It punishes it. The second you hesitate, someone hungrier will take your place. Someone colder. Someone like I used to be. So I rise again, and I put on the mask, and I become who they need me to be. The leader, the visionary, the goddamn savior. Because I didn't come this far just to look back.